Good afternoon. Good afternoon, and welcome to A Beer with the Old Growler. Well, it's about 5 o'clock. I can tell that by the clock on the wall, by the digital reading there, 5:00. Today is Thursday, the 7th of May, 2020. It is the 52nd day of being here in New York. It's called a paused, and I think the governor came up with a great acronym there, and I just call it we're paused. And so it's 52 days, and this is the 34th beer with an Old Growler. The 33rd one, if you were keeping track, it will be missing. It happened yesterday, which was the 6th Wednesday of May, and well, there were some technical difficulties, and it died the death of a ragdoll. So I see we've got a couple of folks here. Glad to see you. And since it is after 5 o'clock, it's time to get out the drinking glass. Here it is. Oh yeah, the receipt for the growler. Let's see, what am I drinking today? This is a Founder's Porter. Founder's Porter. I have no idea what the ABV is on it, but we're going to crack it open. Got the Old Growler from the folks over at the Henry Street Ale House. Yes, sir. Let's crack that open. I have to talk to him about keeping it a little tighter, but since we are in this situation, no harm, no foul. Oh, that's a dark little feller. That's what that is. Look at that. Oh, my. Okay, well, I was expecting a little brighter, lighter beer. Let's see if it meets expectations. Whoa, there we go. I'm getting old. No, I'm not. I'm Peter. Here we go. To the 7th of May, 2020, after 5 o'clock, time to have a libation. Wow. Boy, I'd call that a stout if I was me, but I don't mind. I'm happy with it. It's a nice beer. It's a nice beer. Why am I here talking to y'all? Oh wow, we've had somebody drop in. Good to see you. Oops, they dropped out. And thanks for the thumbs up. Why am I here? Well, I'll tell you. Hey, Dave. Good to see you, my friend. Well, I'm here because, again, it is the 52nd day since, it's been 52 days since one could get a legal drink in New York. Whoa. Since the restaurants, pubs, bars, taverns all closed. And being a journalist and an author, in fact, after the tasting, I'm going to, for those of you who are still around, I want to tell the story of how Beer Basics came to be. My first book of 2, and we've got a few more in the works, but well, you'll find out, as I say, after the tastings that, and let's see, what are the tastings today? What we're going to do is go back in time. Woo! No, it's this way. What we're going to do is go back in time to yesterday and try once again to try out the Bengali, the 6-Point Bengali ale, yes, ale, and the 6-Point Hootie, as in owl, and this is an ale also. So we'll taste those two in a smidge in a bit. And greetings, Mary. Good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, I've got some good. Well, both of you two know, but anybody after this, don't worry about sending me an email about this program, about this presentation, because I now have my email up and running. And that's so. Here we go. I'm going to salute all the hard work that went into that. Boy, I didn't do it, but it was a lot of hard work, and I think. That's nice. Boy, it's too bad. It's such a nice day, because a porter. This would be perfect on a kind of a drizzly, rainy, dreary day. You know, you have to put a sweatshirt on and sit and actually muse, because there's no way to get outside. It's too wet and damp and dank. That's what a porter's there for. Either that or a nice bit of barbecue. Boy, I haven't had it. Oh, boy. The last nice piece of barbecue, and it's sad to say, it was a processed, it was frozen. It was from Fresh Direct, and it was a rack of their ribs. And oh my word, if I had a few, if I had just 3 or 4 of those ribs and this porter, it would be. But you know, you can't have. No, sir, we're not the way they are today. Today you've got to discipline yourself. Greetings, Monica. Happy to see you. We're glad to see you. Boy, we've got getting a full house here, and thanks again for the thumbs up, folks. That makes me look good for the folks at YouTube and even Google. They like to see that. Oh, well, that much has been happening around the Old Growler. There's been, let's see. There's been a little bit, as I say, the no email was distracting, but after that was all taken care of, and we got back into the swing of things, and nothing bounced. So from the email, so it was just one of those that stretch. So now that the stress is off, let's do a little tasting now. I've been lucky enough to have known this a fellow by the name of Gary Monterosa. He's down in New Jersey. He's got a website or a program called What's on Tap, which is shown on WOT. It's Comcast Channel 22, and it was a live situation with meeting people and things, and since it's been the meeting people has been curtailed, I've offered to do a tasting or two. So let's do a tasting or two. Welcome to Gary and the kids. And this is what we usually do: is we take a look at a beer can or a beer bottle or a bottle of spirits. Sometimes drops by, and this is at the Henry Street Ale House over in Brooklyn Heights. And there's at least 3 of us: bartender Jerry Scott, my buddy Jim Bennis, and I'm sure in most of the videos there are at least 1 or 2 other people. You can see them on the playlists on this channel. It's called, I believe it's Tasting at Henry Street Ale House. So what we do is we meet expectations. Now let's see what the expectations on this one is today. It's a Bengali. That's the big name for it, and it has a tiger emblem on there, so you can see that it's a tiger emblem. It says that it's a year-round product. They sell it year-round. It's from Brooklyn, New York. 12 fluid ounces, 6.6% alcohol by volume, 66 IBUs, 9 SRMs, and it says it's an ale. Okay, well. It all started with an epic video game marathon back in 2004. Rocking Blaze Orange homebrew, we saw the foam rings down the glass like tiger stripes. Thousands of batches and tweaks later, the Bengal still slashes. Tip it back and let gravity do the work. Game on. Okay, I guess that translates that they had their color was blaze orange, and they won some kind of game, and this must have been their team colors, so to speak. Please keep refrigerated. Formulated and brewed by 6 Point Breweries, Brooklyn, New York, and Parkersburg, Pennsylvania. So they've expanded. They've got the independent symbol there for being an independent. That's the craft, not the Craft Brewers Guild, but the Brewers careful Brewers Association. It asserts them as being a small brewery. Okay. Well, I happen to know about 6 Point quite a bit. I've interviewed the brewer. I think if I can find the link, I will put it in the information box below. What am I looking forward to here? Well, an ale, a 9 SRMs. That's a rating that has to do with color, and it comes to be almost a copper color. So we're going to crack this open and see what it does. It's a copper color ale, 6.6 ABV, not too high, and it doesn't let me know whether it's a hoppy ale or not. So we're going to find out. Not too much information on this. Some of the cans and bottles we get are loaded with information, and this one, I'm going to have to go hunting for the information on this one. Okay, let's see how it pours, or how I pour. All right, it is copper color. That's exactly, there we go. It's got nice 2 fingers of foam, of head. That's just a little tan. That's a nice clear beer. Boy, that's a beauty beer. It smells a little bit more malty than hoppy, than floral, like going into floor shops. So there's not too much. There's not too much nose, as they call it in the trade. So let's take a sip. The hop flavors creep up on you. It starts out fairly malty, and then the hop flavors blossom all over your tongue. It's a kind of a tang rather than a bitter. They're very much like a tang. It's a hop tang. Yeah, I know that was kind of a big sip. Well, does 6 rows, or 6, oops, my mistake. Does 6-star, or 6 Point, 6 Point, 6 Point Bengali meet expectations? Yes, it does. It is exactly what it says. I am particularly impressed by the way the hops develop rather than hitting you in the head with a lot of grapefruit and lemon, which particularly grapefruit would be Cascade hops, and lemon would be Citra. Yeah, but that's a tasty beer. Okay, it does meet expectations. Let's see what's next on the list. Is a Hootie, H-O-O-T-I-E, Hootie. And naturally, well, not so naturally, it took me a while to find it, but there's an owl right there, an owl on there. So it has something to do with the owls and hooting and good stuff. It's got a slightly different color, but it is a kind of a brassy color. This one's got some clouds with lightning bolts coming out of it. And let's see, beer is culture. Okay, 6 Point Brewery. Okay, 12 fluid ounces. Okay, 6.2 ABV, so it's a little less than its predecessor there. 5 IBUs, so that's not terribly bitter, and 6 SRM, so it should, let's see, 6. Is 6 lighter than 9? We'll find out. And it's an ale. Also on here, it has a bit of a thing. Oh, it does. It tells me my hop. Oh, it tells me to hop. Did they tell me hops over there? No. Okay. This is a hazy IPA. I'm not a big fan of hazy IPAs, but I like them. I like some of them. But an IPA has to kick butt with the hops in. We've got some. It tells you right here. It says Idaho 7. I'm not familiar. Amarillo, Amarillo, L-I-L-O. I'm not too sure of that either. El Dorado and Galaxy. Well, Galaxy is a little bit a tang to it, a spike flavor. And so Spasiba, Tovarich. Anyways, ding, ding. How do we do this? Maybe something like, well, we'll see. I ain't too sure. But anyways, it says, let your instincts take over. Channel your inner beast. When our brewmaster pulls a fresh beer off the canning line, he brings everyone close to crack it open and inhale the instantaneous aroma explosion. It's ritualistic. This sort of obsession led to vision quests in Pacific Northwest hop fields, not to mention years of maniacal recipe modification on a small scale. Embrace your inner Hootie and fly silently into the night. Oh, that's what I see. Okay, I can handle that. Ding, 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 ding. Okay. Sorry about this tasting, dudes. I got to get rid of a troll. Yeah, what a waste. All right. Well, anyways, we got this Hootie here. Oh, Jesus. All right. I think I took care of it. Oh, I got to figure out I got to learn how to do that. Let's see if I. Well, anyways, let's try and crack this open. What am I expecting? I'm expecting a lot of hops. Really, a whole lot of hops on this. I tried, Dave. I gotta do a tutorial on how to get rid of trolls, I guess. I've never had one before. All right, it is. It's a hazy beer. Not too much aroma to it. The hops are unfamiliar to me, so I'm not too sure what they're supposed to be. So I can't build any expectations on that. But they are subtle. They are incredibly subtle. I'm still well. There we are. Okay, my tongue has awakened. Let's try another sip. It's a very subtle beer. I don't know the tie-in with the owl or the adjusting your perceptions or something, letting your instincts take over. I'm not sure. Well, it meets expectations in the fact that it is a cloudy beer. It is an ale, and yes, the hop flavors they build similar to a habanero or pepper. I mean, yeah, those are the roast, the toast, the smoked ones. The flavor grows on you. The chili kind of, it takes a while, you know, and you're there, they're having a good time, and all of a sudden you're going, wait a minute, something's going on, and then you grab a beer and realize that that's not the best way to get rid of casein or capsaicin for burns. That's not good. No. Well, it does meet expectations on appearance, flavor. I'm not going to take marks off, but yeah, well, yes, it's not a kick-ass. It's not a kick-ass beer. Sorry about that, but sorry, 6 point. Well, there we go. So we've had 2 beers today. And usually, this is the 34th Old Growler, and I think I've tasted 2 beers each setting, which means I have tasted probably, well, I can do the math, 68 beers in the last 34 sessions. So I'm gonna calm that down to 1, I think, and maybe a guest beer if it's appropriate. And I think tomorrow it will be appropriate because it is a Friday, and it will be the 35th Old Growler presentation. And let's see, that's a month and a half, and it's about time to celebrate. And what we celebrate with is the Thomas Hardy 1992. This is so most of you folks that have been here know what that is, and it's a rarest ale in Britain. It can be aged for years without damage. And this is the first one, the youngest one I have, brewed by Eldridge Pope and Company in Dorset, England. And this is going to be fun to open up. We opened up one earlier. I think it was 2002 or 2008, and that was tasty. That was a tasty beer. All right, let's get back to our featured beer here, or our growler. I hope you all enjoyed the tasting. And let's see, what do we got here? We've done the featured tastings. See, I've got a semi-script here. So yeah, there we go. Okay, what do we got? We got the featured story today. Well, let me crack this open just a little bit more and pour myself enough so that I can tell the story properly. Hey, see, that's a stout head on that one. That's not a porter head. That's a stout head. There's actually a law in the Republic of Ireland that a stout head has to be only a certain amount. All right, let's settle down. I'm going to take a little bit to thank you. For those of you who are still here, you're going to hear the story of why the Old Growler loves this beer so much, how he got into it, etc., etc. Well, the first part is long. The short part is I had a chance in 1995. John Wiley published Beer Basics by me, a quick and easy guide. Now, let's make sure it was 95. Yes, it's 95, August of 95. And I was very, very pleased with it. And the reason that it came about was that in '94, I had been relieved of my command at Beverage Media and was freelancing again. And I had plenty of material that I had accumulated in the 4 years working at Beverage Media, as well as covering on my own the microbrewing industries. So I figured, in fact, working for Beverage Media, I would talk to beverage managers at major restaurants, and I remember particularly one. Oh, I don't. No, I forget. Well, I wouldn't want to mention the name, but I was talking to the beverage manager, and a salesman came in. It was Monday. Salesmen come in on Monday, apparently. It's a tradition. I'm not sure, but I observed it anyway. And he was trying to sell him one of the super premium microbrews, and I forget whether it might have been Bigfoot from Sierra Nevada. And the guy said, no. He says, I order my beer. I ordered my beer. Don't worry about it. Thanks very much for coming in. Do you want a sample? No, that's all right. Thanks very much. Okay. So the salesman splits, and I go on with my interview. The beverage manager turns around for the interview, and I said, how much margin do you get on the beers that you sell here? And he said, well, sometimes 10%, 15% if we're lucky. I said, oh yeah, is that right? I said, well, that fella that you just sent out, if you'd put his beer on tap, you'd be making 30 to 40, maybe 50%. No, 30%. 30% sure profit margin on it. And the guy's eyes lit up, of course, because he didn't realize what was there. The specialty beers, you could sell them at major price points. I keep seeing from Google, video download helper has crashed. Okay, this might be me or something, but if things happen, folks, it was good to see you. But so far we haven't lost anything. Somebody say something to me so that I can see that we're still verbal and still operating. Hello? We've got 4 of you there. Somebody send me a message. Please send me a message. Really? Okay. Okay, still working. Thanks, Dave, and thanks, Monica. Okay. So, hey, thanks, Mary. Thanks very much. Okay, so, yeah, I was freelancing after leaving Beverage Media. And I talked to the beverage managers, and they were amazed. And so I knew that the beverage managers, it seemed that they had no idea that the profits that they could make. So I had some material, and I was trying to put together for like a book idea, and always, and freelancing. And it came time to go. My sister was working for Bartelsman at the time, a publishing house, as a special sales rep. And she was going down to North Carolina to work for someone else, and she was on her way out and was thanking a lot of her associates in the other companies for their help over the years. And there was this one particular, that was what she was doing, and she and I had made a date to get together at the Oyster Bar in Grand Central Station for a lunch. And I showed up, and she had forgotten that she had invited a sales rep from John Wiley. Well, the sales rep. Now we sat down, and very pleasant. We had one of those towers of seafood. It was a lot of fun. I had beer. It was a lager, and they had the Sancerre white wine. But it turned out that the sales rep had no idea that my sister Linda had a brother, or that he was a journalist, and she was very her ears. She was very, very excited to hear this, to find this out, to get this intelligence, because She worked for John Wiley, and John Wiley had just published a book by Dewey Markham called Wine Basics. And they had apparently hired, as the rumor goes, or as I remember the story goes, they had an author lined up and either had presented material or something, or had been given the project to do beer basics and backed out, or didn't work. It didn't work out. Something didn't work out. So they had beer basics on their catalog, and they had no book. And when she found out that I covered the beer thing and I had done freelance work on beer, she said, "Well, here's the name of an editor, and here's her card. Why don't you send her a book proposal?" And a book proposal normally is about 25 or 30 pages long. Starts out with some sample chapters, or a basic outline of what the book is going to be about, table of contents, sample chapters. Then there's a marketing feasibility for it. And you have to do some, you have to check the market, what's the competition, what other books are like this, the whole thing. And then you have to put a marketing plan together. How are you going to market this? Who are you going to market it to? What are the avenues that are available? All of this goes into a book proposal. And illustrations. You have to have illustrations. I didn't know this. So I typed out a 2-page outline. The first page is just hello, I'm Peter LaFrance, and here's my little bit of a curriculum vitae very shortly. And I hear you're looking for a book on beer, on beer. And the second page was just kind of a PowerPoint, not PowerPoint, to bullets of what I could cover. 2 pages. Okay. And I guess it was maybe less than a week later, I got a phone call. It was a couple of days later, I got a phone call from her saying that they were very interested in it. And then less than a week or 2 later, I had a contract in my hand. So I turned the book out in 6 months, which was a pretty quick turnaround. And it made them happy. I had a year to do it. But and as I look over it now, it is incredibly brief. But back then, it was something that was originally meant, because John Wiley is an education book publisher, it was originally meant for the trade, for the beverage trade, but it ended up to be a trade book meaning a book that is sold in bookstores. 2 terms that are strangely the same, if not different. Okay, we're just about the end of this. Well, it's a half hour. This one's been a half hour. I'm wondering if I should, as I say, cut the time to a half hour rather than the full hour. I could talk for another bit, but I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to bore people too long. So what I'm going to do today is I think I'm going to. Wait, you know something? There's a spirit just dropped by. Yes, sirree, Bob. Yes, sir, spirit. This is a Lafroig, 30-year-old spirit, 46.7% ABV. This was sent to me by the good folks at Lafroig, and there is a tasting, and I will put the link down below. We have done a tasting of this at the Henry Street Ale House, and it was marvelous. We had we started out with the 16. And the camera shrinks the bottles. That's what it does. That's why they look so small. The camera shrinks it. But anyways, I want to revisit the Lafroig 30-year-old and see what it tastes like. I've got myself a snifter here, and I'm going to crack this open. And we're going to pour just a little bit in there. Just pour a little bit. Yeah. This is a little bit. Why not? And yes, spirits are part of. You have to ferment something before you can distill it. So originally, this was a beer. You know, that's the way it goes. So let's see what we got here. As I remember, the older it got, the more delicate it got. So, oh, give it a swirl for God's sake. Very light oak, very, very light. Let's give it a sip. I don't know if you can see it, but there's the legs that go down. You can see it on the glass from the sip. That it's very sweet, but it's not sweet. It's very viscous. It's got legs, as they call it. There's a lot of smoke in this. I'm surprised. No, I'm not as Lefroy, you silly fool. Which is not quite one of the smokiest, but it comes from Isla. Boy, is that smooth though. It's just a touch of smoke. I mean, this is maybe it goes off with the angel's breath, you know, when the casks are put down. No, it's Scotland, Peter, not Ireland. Well, you know, it's the same thing. That's true. Distilleries are distilleries. Let's have another. That's why they made beer. I'm pretty sure that's why they made beer. Well, I want to thank the folks that have stopped by. I want to thank the folks that have lasted this long. And for those of you who are watching this on a day other than Thursday, the 7th of May, 2020, please give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe. We're on most days, Monday through Friday at 5 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Daylight Time, whichever time it happens to be. And thank you, Dave. Thanks very much. I do appreciate that. And I appreciate all you've done for the last couple 3 days. It's cheers. Well, it's amazing how long I can make that few ounces, less than an ounce of whiskey last. Oh, my. Okay. Well, on that, I want to thank everybody for showing up, and for the rest of you who have, as I say, just stopped by and have lasted this long, subscribe, share, and if you want to hit the bell down there so that you know when each one of these sessions goes hot, I certainly would appreciate that as well. So y'all have a good time, and we'll see you the next time here having a beer, in this case a scotch, with the Old Growler.